October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and at Capitol Ford in Santa Fe, we're proud to stand with the survivors, the fighters, and the families who inspire us every single day. And while we honor their strength, we're also helping you with the strength to save with special dealer offers. Like a new Ford F-150 XLT, save with 3.9% APR financing for 72 months. Or a new Ford Bronco Sport, lease for just $399 a month at Capitol Ford in Santa Fe.
Hey, welcome in to another live episode of the Pit Press Live. I am your host tonight. My name is Eric Moulton, and I have the pleasure of being joined by Nick Nunez, play-by-play for ProView Networks, and one of our Lobo basketball beat writers here at the Pit Press. Nick, good evening, man. How's it going?
Eric, how's it going? Doing well. Excited after UNM's big win last night in the pit. Exciting time for Lobo athletics, and ready to talk some Lobo sports with both you and Mark Smith.
Yeah, likewise, man. Also joined this evening by former Lobo basketball beat writer for the Albuquerque Journal, and now one of our beat writers here at the Pit Press, Mr. Mark Smith. Mark, Tiki, how you doing tonight, sir?
Eric, I'm good, but I'm as you see, half a man here tonight. You got my voice, but no face. I don't know what's going on. My camera on my laptop does not appear to be working correctly, and it's probably me with my old school thoughts. But I had my 15-year-old son trying to figure it out, and we couldn't get it up. And I know it works, but hey, we can talk. I'm used to old style radio interviews anyway.
Well, we'll give you a free pass on this one. Your first time on the live stream. We'll have to iron out the wrinkles a little bit later, but let's jump into it, guys. Let's talk some Lobo hoops, and let me just do a quick. All right, Nick, I'm going to pass the ball to you on this one. Your first look at the Eric Olin era, first impressions. What's your immediate overacting or overriding impressions of the Lobos' first performance under Eric Olin post exhibition game? You could say the defensive tenacity that you talked about a lot in the offseason, the new offensive structure that we expected to see as insistent in his system, and then how dominant they were in the first half. What was your kind of overall knee-jerk reaction?
Eric, I thought they took a step forward from their two exhibition games against Washington State and against Northern Arizona. The stats that stick out to me, Eric, UNM won the turnover battle. They forced 21 East Texas A&M turnovers. They won the rebound count for the first time after they lost the rebound battle to both NAU and Washington State. And their defense just smothered the Lions, Eric. I mean, they went 0 for 20 from the three-point line. They didn't make their first three-point field goal until the 11:50 mark of the second half. And, Coach Olin talked about it in the post-game press conference. He thought pretty much everything that they shot in the first half was contested. So the energy that they came out with on defense was certainly impressive. Coach Olin said, they're not a finished product schematically, defensively. There's some things they got to work on. I don't think they're showing everything that they're going to run defensively. This is a team that I think will run more matchup zone, some of that Eric Olin matchup zone that we've talked about, Eric. I think they'll run that more as the season progresses. I didn't really see that come out a lot last night. It seemed like they were in a lot of man-to-man, but they played man-to-man defense with a lot of energy, forced a lot of turnovers, forced a lot of bad shots. On the offensive end, they're definitely not a finished product. But I was encouraged, Eric. They shot 43 two-point field goals, only 20 three-point field goals, and this is a team that shot 76 combined three-point field goals in their two exhibition games. You could tell it was a point of emphasis for the Lobo guards, Staten Albury, Uriah Tennett, Luke Hopt, Chris Howell, to attack the paint. How many slam dunks did we see? Chol had a couple nice dunks. They just really got to the paint, got to the rim. I think their offense got a little stagnant, and hopefully we have an opportunity to dive a little more into that as the show goes on, Eric. But overall, I thought they took a big first step from their exhibition games.
Yeah, man, I think the one stat that really stood out to me, just looking at defensively in the first half, really holding East Texas A&M 0 of 14 from the three-point line, 5 of 25 at 20% in overall field goal percentage. I couldn't say if that defense was really swarming or if the overall execution, the rotation, the length of these guys is significantly longer. They're a much bigger team and do a much better job on the boards. But Mark, Tiki, what was your initial intake for seeing the Lobos for the first time non-exhibition?
Nick and I sat next to each other and discussed a lot of the stuff, and he hit on all the points that I would agree with. It's a different day and age over the last 20 years, even with three-pointers and slam dunks, taking it inside being the keys to scoring, and losing the mid-range jumper. And the Lobos struggled a lot with the mid-range jumpers last night. I don't know what the exact stats would have been, but I know we were counting them for a while, how many shots, just jumpers in the paint even, were not going down for both teams. And a lot of that has to do with the season opener. And, guys, this is why you play teams like East Texas A&M to start, to get your feet under yourselves, find out about things. And, Nick really hit it on the head with the story he wrote a few weeks ago, talking about what kind of offense and what kind of defense the Lobos were hoping to run. And they did a lot of what Nick said that Nick, and, getting that from Eric Olin, said that they were going to do. There were parts that were impressive. There were parts that weren't so impressive. But again, the latter being the unimpressive is a lot to do with the season opener. I saw a lot of upside. We're just going to have to see as they start getting through the schedule how a lot of this stuff works. And one of the most interesting things to me, being a fan of the gaming activity, active gaming enthusiast, was, the spread Nick lit up before the game? The betting line was 22.5, and that thing was bouncing right around. So Vegas has a feel for these guys. Now it's time for us to all get a feel for them.
Yeah, Nick, I'm going to throw this one over to you, but this was new look starting five. I'm not sure what the rotation looked like in the exhibition since I didn't get a chance to see the last one, but you had Albury, Chol, Howell, Bouillon, and Hall as the starting five. How do you think effective they were? Overall, just kind of the cohesiveness, the rotation. And do you think we're going to see different starting fives? Do you think we're going to still see the Olin kind of system play itself out? And are they going to continue to experiment with that?
You know, Eric, this is the first starting lineup that they rolled with against Washington State in their first exhibition. If you look at the minutes that were played by the starters, they all played over 20 minutes. I think you could see one or two guys that change in and out. Wouldn't be surprised to see Uriah Tennette in the starting lineup at times this season. Wouldn't be surprised to see Luke Hopt, the senior transfer from Point Loma from Division II. Had 6 points last night, was 6 of 8 from the free throw line, attacked the basket really well. Could see him in the starting lineup at times this season. But I think the core three that we've seen across 3 games, the 2 exhibition games against Washington State and against NAU, and then the regular season opener against East Texas A&M, it's been Dayton Albury, Antonio Chol, and Tomislav Bouillon. Bouillon, a beast on the boards yesterday. 15 rebounds, 7 offensive rebounds, 8 defensive rebounds. Needs to work on his touch around the rim. I was listening to the post-game show with Jeff Symbieta and Daniel Ferris. Bouillon was reportedly in the gym shooting free throws and working on his game after the game. But to your question, Eric, I think we know who the core 3 are. Jake Hall has shown that he can score the ball at a phenomenal rate. Shot 6 for 12 last night, led the team with 14 points. You know, in his post-game interview, he said, "I wasn't satisfied with how I played. I thought I could have shot the ball a lot better." But I think for the most part, Eric, I think this is going to be the starting 5 that they roll out, at least for the next game against UT Arlington.
Yeah, I did notice, Nick, that they had 3
Nick, too,
3 guys.
Hall.
Go ahead, Tiki. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying Hall, had the shooting slumps for the exhibition games, and he was trying to work himself out of that. And I think he gained a lot of confidence last night. Nick, as a former coach, you shoot yourself out of a slump, and I think Hall did that, and I think we're going to see some good things of him, a lot of great things from him down the road. Once you get that confidence to start making shots, it's easy to say, but that's what he started to do. And he knows that he was struggling coming into this game and had been working a lot in practice, he said, on just the stroke again. But shooters got to shoot, and he's going to be fine.
Yeah, two newcomers, right? 2 true freshmen in Jake Hall and Uriah Tennette, to me, probably stood out the most. And I don't think that we could have anticipated 2 true freshmen having as much of an impact early in the season on the scoring portion of things, really like leading scores. I think they both had 14 points each, but Jake Hall has a very polished game for coming in as a true freshman. Very skilled, fundamental. I think coming in, the scouting report to me was that he was gonna be a shooter. He was gonna catch and shoot from the perimeter, very much like a set shot type style player. But we didn't see that last night. We saw him penetrating. We saw him shoot in the mid range. He had a nice jump shot, pivot, kind of step through, ball fake, easy layup, drew an and one early in the game. Very poise for a young player like that, and I think we're only going to see this guy improve. I mean, that was his first collegiate basketball game to come in and have 14 points right off the bat. Nick, I wanted your impression of not only Jake Hall, but the overall freshman impact on this Lobos team.
Yeah, I share your sentiment, Eric. I mean, I don't think any one of us thought that these guys would be that impactful. I mean, maybe so. Both very decorated in their high school careers. Jake Hall, over 3,000 points scored at his school in San Diego, was a former CIF player of the year out in California. And Uriah Tennette, playing at Prescott High School in Arizona, had a phenomenal career as well. You know, I think one of the highlight clips that went viral with him was when he kind of went head-to-head with Elijah Arenas in high school. And so both of them kind of possess different skill sets, right? Eric, you talked about Uriah Tennette's athleticism. It's incredible. We saw him yesterday in the game get a couple steals, a couple breakaways. God, he almost had a tomahawk slam. That would have been a nice poster if he would have finished it. He does a really good job attacking the basket as well. He's on balance and poised. You use the word poised for Jake Hall. I thought Uriah Tenet showed some poise in the way that he penetrated into the paint, jump stopped, and found open teammates. He led the team with 5 assists. With Jake Hall, he kind of has that old man game almost. He gets into the paint. He has incredible footwork, just his pivoting, his ability to get a shot off. He has range from the 3-point line. I know he went 2 for 12 against Washington State, but has shot better in the last 2 games. One against Northern Arizona in the exhibition, and he shot, I think he was 2 for 6 from 3 last night against East Texas A&M. So they're going to be important pieces to Eric Olnen's schemes, both offensively and defensively, and exciting. Eric, the big thing is hopefully these guys play well this season, and we can keep them here as Lobos.
Hey, Mark, I'm going to throw a question over to you, but just with the impact of these 2 freshmen coming in, us not really knowing what that's going to look like, is there going to be some time that we're going to have to be patient with for these guys to actually mature? You've covered the program closely for a really long time, even during the Alfred years. Can you remember a freshman coming in on any Lobo squad and being that impactful right away?
Impact freshman, right? Impact freshman, off the top of my head. Well, I mean, Kenny Thomas, obviously, was a big-time freshman when he came in. That's how far back I go with covering these guys. But I'd have to stop and think. Lamont Long was also a big impact freshman that they've had. I think in this day and age, with the portal and everybody coming and going and so many guys of top caliber leaving programs all over the country, you have to depend on your freshmen. I like that, Eric Olin was saying after the game that he's really pleased with these guys, but basically from what I'm paraphrasing him, he doesn't look at them as freshmen as much as everybody on the team being contributors. And I thought both of them, Hall and Tenet, looked really poised, like you said, for their first game. Tenet, he's going to get a little out of control at times, but that's going to be part of his game. And I think we're going to see him develop into one of the crowd favorites. We already saw that at the Lobo Howl with the dunk contest, and I think we're going to see some amazing stuff out of him athletically.
I think you make a really good point, Mark, with you talked about the transfer portal, right? I think now in this new transfer portal era, and a lot of these coaches and programs around the country are going after those older, more polished, more experienced players that they want to add to their rosters, where the high school seniors or the college freshmen incoming almost take a back seat to that and aren't so highly sought after anymore. So they're kind of an afterthought in a lot of senses. So if they want to play right away, maybe they got to go the JUCO route or even the D2 route if they want to make a roster and see significant minutes. But for this new Lobos roster, they came in and both saw significant minutes, and I feel like moving forward, they're going to be a big part of this rotation. But moving on, I do have some additional topics I want to ask you about. Nick, you touched on the rebounding, right? UNM's rebounding advantage on the game was 43-39, but I thought early in the first half they dominated the glass, specifically Tomislav Buljan's 15 rebound performance. How do you think that kind of lays the foundation for this Lobo roster? I think it's very much an emphasis on this program moving forward, physically and just athletically. They look much bigger, they're longer. How do you think this first game that kind of gives us a taste for what's to come later down the road?
Yeah, specifically with the rebounding, Eric, UNM had 17 second chance points last night against East Texas A&M, led by Tomislav Buljan's 7 offensive rebounds. It just creates extra possessions. And anytime you get offensive rebounds, You're taking the ball away from the other team. It's almost like a turnover. I think overall encouraged, Eric. It wasn't pretty. They're not a final product. They're not moving the ball. And I've seen some comments, one by Steve Singletary. I've got some clips teed up, Eric. Maybe we'll have some time later in the show to kind of get into that after we get to our guest. But as I said, kind of in my opening remarks, I think they took a step forward, man. If they would have shot the ball from the three-point line the way that they did against Washington State and against Northern Arizona and just shot a bunch of threes and missed them all, I think, the Pitt fans would have been upset. But they won by 22. It's hard to complain about a 22-point win. So I think overall, Eric, encouraged. There's a lot of work to do, but they're taking a step in the right direction for sure.
Mark, I'm going to throw this topic over to you, but just the turnover trouble that the Lobos defense kind of imposes on their opponents. They forced 21 turnovers. I don't know how many turnovers they forced in the exhibition. Nick, you might remind me maybe later on in the conversation, but just kind of forcing teams into bad shots, 14.7% from the 3-point line. But where do you see this Lobos defense? Do you see it as being the strength of this team, or do you feel like the offensive production is going to come around later in the year?
Well, I think both, Eric. I think, again, a first game, you don't know how this is going to play out for trends at all. But I was very impressed with the first 10 to 15 minutes of how they were playing defensively. A lot of that, too, has to do with the fact that East Texas A&M was bricking a lot of shots, like Nick pointed out. That I've never seen a team that I can remember. I've never seen a team miss its first 20 3-pointers. And when you're stressing trying to make a shot, you're more prone to making turnovers, trying to make the extra pass, trying to find someone inside. And they were struggling inside as well. But so it's hard to really gauge how much of that was the defensive pressure, which it looked like. I thought the defensive pressure was really good, like I said, the first 10 to 15 minutes. But it's tough to gauge that when your opponent is just can't put the ball in the hole. The last time I covered college basketball, that was the name of the game still, was making shots, and these guys weren't making them. So that makes it easier on you defensively. Now, the Lobos did lock down a lot. I thought they did a good job of rotating defensively to get a man in people's faces and flying around off the ball. I think it was Miller that was saying that they were playing, once one guy started playing harder defensively, then it would pick up the rest of the guys. And so I think right now, if you just say one game into the season, yeah, their defense looks like it's going to carry them. And that can carry a team throughout the year. If you have a cold night, then you can always lock down on defense. You mentioned Steve Alford. That was one of the things that his teams did so well, was on nights that they weren't there offensively, they were still able to come up with big defensive efforts, and that carried them to a heck of a lot of victories. On the other hand, with what you said offensively, I see some talent out there, and I think they will pick that up. And it's just going to take some time to mesh. To me, it takes longer to click offensively than it does defensively, and I thought that was the case last night.
Yep, I do think that they have a ton of talent on this team. Obviously, you have to look at guys like Antonio Chol and Dayton Albury, who I can't say that they really didn't stand out in this game. I think Antonio Chol had a few nice dunks, but in that exhibition, he put up 11 shots, and 11 of those shots came from the 3-point line. He took 6 threes in this last one and made one. I kind of feel like maybe he needs to get downhill a little bit more versus settle for the outside shot. And then Dayton Albury seems to just kind of be off a little bit. I don't know if he's pressing are a little bit too sped up. I think if he were just to kind of tone it down a little bit more to kind of collect on his own, the production is going to start to come and you see the shots start to fall. So, Nick, I want to get your thoughts on those two players I just mentioned, and then another player that we haven't really talked about, but into Javis Miller. He made 3 threes coming off the bench, highly impactful. Didn't see a ton of minutes, but I could see this guy playing a really important role for this Lobos team.
Yeah, I'll take it from the top with Javis Miller, the North Dakota State transfer, the sixth-man player of the year in the Summit League. Shot the ball really well against East Texas A&M. 4 for 5 from the field, 3 for 3 from 3. I believe he had 2 rebounds as well. Did not shoot well in the preseason exhibition games. He was 2 for 9 combined against Washington State and Northern Arizona. It was very encouraging to see him shoot the ball the way that he did, Eric. You know, I had said at the beginning of the year, maybe he's a starter. Naturally, he came off the bench for North Dakota State for the majority of the season last year. I think he was sprinkled in the starting lineup at times, but a veteran guy, a guy that's played a lot of basketball. And they're going to need guys outside the main rotation. You know, we've talked about how deep is this rotation? You know, are they going to be 7, 8, 9 deep? I think he's in the rotation for sure. And to see him play the way that he did last night, that's encouraging. Real quick on Antonio Chol and Dayton Albury. You know, Dayton Albury continues to struggle from the field. I believe he was 2 for 8 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3. God, he had a couple layups that were just point blank. There's one in particular that I have teed up on some video clip, and we may get to that after our next guest. But I think those shots are going to fall, Eric. And I know Coach Eric Olin has said that when people have asked him what's going on with Dayton Albury. He said, those are shots that we think Dayton's going to make. You know, Dayton averaged 7.8 points per game at Utah State last year in a complimentary role, was the guy at Queens College 2 years ago. Averaged 17 points a game. You can tell just the way that he plays. He plays with great balance. He's attacking the paint really well. He's finding teammates. He was second on the team yesterday with 6 rebounds. He had 4 steals against Northern Arizona. So he's finding other ways to impact the game. And then I'll be very brief on Antonio Chol, Eric. Like you mentioned, didn't shoot well from the three-point line. You know, shot 5 for 11 from 3 against Northern Arizona, like you mentioned. I think his first couple shots against East Texas A&M were from the three-point line. He wants to shoot the 3 first, but you saw he got a little bit more comfortable going to the rim. That slam that he put down when he caught it off dribble penetration, that got the pit rocking. And so if he's able to do that with some consistency this season and be a threat off the bounce, he's going to turn into a very dynamic player.
Yep. We have a guest waiting backstage that I want to get to. And then maybe we can wrap up towards the end of the show, just kind of finishing up some Lobo talk. But before we do, Mark, I want to get your final thoughts specifically around Antonio Chol. He comes in playing an All-American season at the junior college level. Season before that, he was at Rutgers, highly anticipated recruit coming in. Sitting at 6'9", he's got an NBA frame. He's got an outside game feel to him. I feel like his game is a little limitless right now. It just, once he kind of develops some comfortable attributes in this offense, he could probably be the team's most effective player. But just looking at him in first person there on press row, Mark, I wanted to get your take on what you liked out of Antonio Chol's game.
Well, his athleticism obviously is the key strength. You know, he went, I think, 1 for 6 from 3-point range. You got to figure that's going to change, you know, during the course of the year. He was struggling, you know, again, season opener, and you have your troubles knocking stuff down right away, and it'll start to rear its ugly head during the game a little bit. But he has, like you said, he has an NBA frame. He looks like a guy that could be one of the top players in the Mountain West Conference this year. He's going to need some time just to find his footing, like most of these guys right now. But I was impressed with the athleticism last night, and I think there's some big things coming from him.
Yep, agreed. Well, we're going to take a short commercial break and take a short break from Lobo basketball talk. We got a special guest backstage. Valerie Flores is joining us all the way from Texas, the UNM Lobo flag lady who's traveling to all the not New Mexico, to college game days and waving the Lobo flag loud and proud. So join us on the Pit Price Live. We'll be right back.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and at Capitol Ford in Santa Fe, we're proud to stand with the survivors, the fighters, and the families who inspire us every single day. And while we honor their strength, we're also helping you with the strength to save with special dealer offers. Like a new Ford F-150 XLT, save with 3.9% APR financing for 72 months. Or a new Ford Bronco Sport, lease for just $399 a month at Capitol Ford in Santa Fe.
Hey, welcome back to another live episode of the Pit Press Live. I'm your co-host, Eric Moulton, Nick Nunez, and now we are joined by Miss Valerie Flores, all the way from Texas. We're going to get a little bit of her life story, her loyal Lobo attitude, and her ability to travel the country and wave that Lobo flag as she travels to all the college game days around the country. Valerie, welcome to the Pit Press Live.
Hi guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you shared a ton of photos with me prior to getting on, which I'm going to bring on screen. And tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that you're a teacher in Texas right now, but what are your ties to New Mexico, and how did you become such a big Lobo fan?
Currently, I'm a dyslexia therapist. I work in Fort Worth, Texas, in elementary schools with students that were diagnosed with dyslexia. I'm originally from New Mexico. My mom lives in the South Valley, so I'm a South Valley girl. I went to Albuquerque High and I went to UNM, and that's basically how I started loving the Lobos.
Now, you travel the country now. You're going to have to correct me if I'm wrong, but you've been to 18 college
19.
game days, 19 college game days.
Saturday
And
will be number 20.
traveling to Lubbock, and I know you were trying to recruit the more Lobo fan base to go out with you on a bye week. It's a close road trip. Did you get anybody to commit to join you?
One person is my Mr. Reliable. That's my friend Ernest Gallegos. He's going to drive out. He's been out here to A&M, and he was supposed to join my mom and myself out in Columbus, but their flight got delayed. So he's trying to make up for that one.
Very cool. Nick, feel free to jump in with any questions. I don't want to hijack the whole interview, but Valerie, where did you come up with this idea? Like, how did the whole flag thing become a thing for you? And then when did you just come up with the bright idea to say, hey, I want to travel the country and wave the Lobo flag loud and proud on national TV?
I go to Texas game days. I've been to Oklahoma. The one in Columbus was because we were already going to the Michigan game. So we flew into Columbus and then drove up to Michigan. So if it's drivable, I do it. Other than that, I wish I could say I went around the country, but I guess Columbus would be my farthest one. Started in 2014. I worked with a lady that had a classroom just like mine, but it was with Washington State geared. So one day she just asked me what I was doing on Saturday, and I was asking her the same thing, and we were both going to game day. And at that time, I didn't have anything, not a flag, not a sign. So I showed up and I made a sign with their little cardboard and paint. So that was the first one in 2014. And then she became the area president for the, for Washington State alumni. And so I was able to travel with her and Old Crimson to several game days. And she just told me, you need a flag. And I was like, okay. So I started out with a 2x3 on a science fair poster board with a broomstick. And then I graduated up to a 15-foot pole. And now I have 4 poles, 20 feet high, tons of flags, 2 4x6 flags. So that's pretty much it.
Nick, go ahead.
We're speaking with Valerie Flores, a.k.a. the UNM flag lady. She shows up to college game days throughout the country. Valerie, my question is, what kind of reception do you get from other college football fans when they see you show up with a Zia symbol, New Mexico flag, or a Lobo flag? Do you get any comments, any feedback, negative or positive?
There's only been one school that has had or given me a hard time. And, so the one in Austin, they're the only ones. They're the only ones. Okay. Ohio State was great. Oklahoma was great. A&M is probably my favorite. The one thing that I really like is somehow, some way, there's always somebody from New Mexico in the crowd. So they come up, they say hi. They might be wearing other gear, but they're very excited to see the Zia. It just makes me happy knowing that, they were smiling, they were excited to see it. So that's basically why I do it. I do it to try to make people smile and to represent my school, and just to show off my pride, because everyone in here in Texas is just proud. Texas this, Texas that. And I was like, well, I can do that too, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently.
Everybody here in Albuquerque, Lobo fans salute you for doing what you do, Valerie. That this is awesome. I've never been out to a college game day myself. It sounds like you've been to quite a few, and every experience is probably different. But just kind of share with us kind of what has been your favorite college game day experience.
Well, that'll be hard. There's been a lot. I guess maybe Corso's last one up in Ohio State. The only thing I didn't like is they did the headgear pick inside instead of outside with the crowd, with the game day crowd. But they've all been a lot of fun. I really enjoy when my mom's there with me. She makes the trip when she can. She's a trooper. Hi, Mom. I know you're listening. She drove all the way to Oklahoma, and she was up at 3 a.m. with me. We got to the site at 5, and right at noon, she drove back to Albuquerque. She's amazing. And whenever I have Ernest there as well, it's a lot more fun when you have somebody with you, because otherwise I'm just standing out there by myself from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. and I'm just chatting with the people around me. But I really enjoy it when I have people with me.
Eric.
Yep. Val, can you talk about just some of the famous people, not only in the college sports or college football world, but who have you encountered on a lot of these trips? Because I'm sure that Zia flag stands out. Definitely the Lobo shield does. But who are some of the famous people that maybe you've come across?
I've had a lot of players' families approach me while I'm there. That's the first game day. That's the sign I was telling you about. We have, let's see, I've met Reese. I've met the majority of them, and even when they came out for basketball, Jason Williams as well, Hannah Storm, so many people, and they're really, really friendly. And being that I was out there every morning for the championship week, I got to meet Mike and Mike. They were great. They would come out. I was there every single morning at 5 before I went to work, and they would come out and say, "Where's New Mexico?" And I was just so excited. Very, very friendly. It's just a lot of fun meeting them. A lot of coaches as well. I even ran into Coach Patterson when they were at the TCU, and he was waving at me because he saw my jacket. I have a ton of pictures, a nice collage going. I don't have it up in my house though. It's just on my phone, but it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. It's a nice little hobby.
Well, you sent me a ton of pictures. I tried my best to get them on as
Oh, no,
many PowerPoint slides, but it was going to take me all afternoon to get them.
Oh, yeah.
But
all right.
I do want to get to some comments because there are some Lobo fans that recognize you. And here's Steve Singletary. That she is the only reason I watch game day. I love that she always seems to get the flag on camera. So you're
5
kind of turning
a.m.
into a little bit of a celebrity out traveling the world. Here's another comment from John Romero. John watches the show all the time. Valerie Flores, thank you for tremendous Lobo spirit. You are one special lady and fan. Lobo Nation is so lucky to have you. And then
Thanks,
Shandy
guys.
Chiggins, thank you for everything.
Happy
So
to do it.
I'm wondering what kind of reactions or interactions you got on social media after you made that post that you were going to be going out to Lubbock this weekend. I know I tried to get Ryan Berryman and Fernando Lovo in. I know Berryman responded. He's like, Val, what do you need? You let me know. But
We
it
did. We
seems
got
like you
some
got
flags
everything you
today.
need, right? You did get some flags. So they sent them out to you.
Today. Ernest is bringing those flags out, and we're going to fly the interlocking flag. Of course, I'm going to fly the memorial flags. I always do those. But hopefully I have a third flag waver that I'm going to try to tuck into to wave in the Zia, even though he's not from New Mexico.
Okay. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, Valerie, kind of back to the routine. I think you kind of touched on it. What time do you have to get there to position yourself so that Zia symbol, that flag, and that Lobo flag that we see on screen right now is front and center in the game day camera?
I have to be there at 5. Anything later than that, I can't see the screens. They have these big blow-up screens on the side, and I'm a little bitty thing, so anybody in front of me obstructs my view. So 5 a.m., I used to have the flag above Reese Davis's head most of the time, but now I found that little circular stage where Jess Sims does her interview in the last 20 minutes. And if I stand there, I can take up the entire screen. The producer asked me to lower my flags because they were taking up the whole screen. And the girls next to me, they're like, no, it's the wind. It's the wind. And I was like, yeah, it's the wind.
Yeah.
5 a.m. and I don't get to move around. So I don't eat, I don't drink. I'll lose my spot if I leave this, that little area. So I stand there from 5 to 11.
Wow. Again, we're speaking with Valerie Flores, passionate Lobo fan out in Texas. Valerie, next question I have is where do you get all your Lobo swag? Being in Texas, I imagine they're not selling a lot of Lobo gear at the department stores out there. So how do you get it?
Every time I come home, I go shopping.
Okay.
And I end up having to take an extra bag with me or to come back because I just have so much stuff. I just can't help it. Honestly, all of my money goes to buying Lobo gear and either going to game day or traveling to games. I've already been to 4 this season, which is exciting. I'm so happy for the team.
Well,
Valerie, I wish that. Oh, sorry, Eric. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Nick. Finish your thought.
Yeah, I wish that all Lobo fans here in the Duke City had the same passion that you did. Right now we're wrestling with trying to fill the stadium, University Stadium. The team's very good this year, 6-3. We're undefeated at home, and other than when New Mexico State shows up to our stadium, we're having a hard time getting fans in. So hopefully Lobo fans can see the passion that you have, not even in this state, and that can translate into more people showing up to the games. But just thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We're going to have to get you a Pit Press flag to add to your trio of flags and some
Why
Pit
not?
Press gear hoodie. So gotta get you out there. But this is my last question, unless Nick, you have any more, but maybe it's 2 questions. You were in Las Vegas. You made the trip out there to watch UNM lock up a bowl berth against UNLV. What was that experience like? We had a photographer there. We have some photos. There were a lot of New Mexico fans there, and there were a lot of New Mexico Zia flags in the stands there. Tell me about the experience and the excitement of being able to be in Vegas when the Lobos clinched a bowl berth.
Oh, it was phenomenal. It was just seeing all the families, and then the look on the players' faces at the end. It was just so great, and I was so happy to be there. I'm glad my mom talked me into it. We were in Michigan on our way back, and she's like, "We're doing Vegas," and I was like, "Okay, let's go." So Michigan, Vegas, the state game, the Utah State game, and I'm going to be hopefully there for the day after Thanksgiving.
Well, that's a lot of game days, it's a long time to be a Lobo fan. Now the Lobos are actually somewhat nationally relevant again, and a lot of that has to do with Coach Jason Eck, and his attitude is infectious. We actually had the pleasure of interviewing him earlier today, so for anyone watching and listening, we're going to release our interview with Coach Eck probably tomorrow. But I wanted to get your opinion on Coach Eck, the impression he's left on you, and the team that you're the biggest fan of.
I love him. I absolutely love the way he has embraced our community. He has gone out, just from watching, obviously I'm not home, but just from watching on social media, he's really embraced everything. I mean, him and the lowrider, my goodness. And the whole thing about Albuquerque is for real ones, yeah, that's true. Because not for everybody. I mean, it just, everything he does, it warms my heart. And I know that the people in Albuquerque feel the same way, the way he's just really taken to our culture and our community. And his wife is the same way. She's so friendly. And I'm thankful they're here. I hope they stay. But yeah, I absolutely love it. I think he's doing a tremendous job of reaching out into the community. I think everyone should really just support and show up. It's not that hard. If I can do it from way out here, you can do it,
Very
from out.
True. Well, you're a big time example of that, of what it means to be a loyal Lobo. Really glad that you were able to come on and join us. I know it's late where you're at, but good luck, and I hope you guys have a good time in Lubbock. We'll be looking for you on College Game Day, and
They're
we'll
already
definitely have to
camped
link
out,
up. And
so I'm hoping for a good spot because those kids are already out there.
you'll have to get there at 3 a.m. instead of 5 a.m.
Probably.
Nick, any final thoughts?
No, once again, Valerie, it's a pleasure to meet you. Respect all that you do promoting Lobo athletics from a different state, and just thank you so much again.
Well, I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Yep, we're going to take another quick commercial break. We'll let Valerie go, and then Nick and I will come right back and wrap it up.
Shawty, she calling me MVP. I be on time, it's something you ain't never seen before. They call me the Dama, really want my whole team to score. Damn, yeah, too icy, yeah, too clean, yeah, my zone, yeah, 2-3, yeah, got shooters that hit from deep, bust like Giannis, yeah, too mean. Bright lights like we at the garden, on P, don't get me started. Whole team walk through me to party. If I can't make the play, I'ma lob it. If you jump, that's right on your head. Had to put him to sleep, go to bed. I'm a star, drop 50 and left. From the logo, like I'm Steph. Put it up, knock him down every time. Going hard like my life on the line. Catch me on the course, I would've down. Never losing, I put it on mine. Had to get on my shell, I've been laying low. Make it real when it comes to the playoffs. The fight with me, know it's a KO.
Hey, welcome back to another live stream of the Pit Press Live. I am your host, Eric Moulton, joined by Nick Nunez. Nick, I've been reaching out to Val on Twitter for a while now. I wanted to get her on, but such a cool story. I think that needs to be talked about a little bit more of just how unique it is, because you can't say that a lot of people have that loyal mentality or just want to be able to travel the country and wave your flag loud and proud. So I'm glad that she finally agreed to come on. She tried to come on earlier, but I think we just had a kind of a failed show, or maybe we had to reschedule something, but wanted to get your thoughts on having someone like that from Albuquerque live out in Texas, but kind of just traveling the country, waving the logo flag loud and proud.
Yeah, man, I've always wondered, because I've seen the Zia flag at a few college game days. I'm like, who are the people that actually go out to these events and do that? And it's nice to actually put a name to a face. I know you did an excellent job of kind of promoting her video when she sent it out earlier this week on X. I can't stress enough how much I admire her passion, Eric. I mean, to get there at 5 a.m., we can't even get Lobo fans to show up for a 1 p.m. kickoff when the weather's beautiful in Albuquerque. To have someone who cares about Lobo athletics and Lobo football that much to show up at 5 a.m. when our team's not even playing, I think that just speaks volumes, man. I'm so glad that we were able to get her on the show.
Yeah, I share that same sentiment, man. It's if she was here, she'd be a season ticket holder and out there early with I think it's like the cherry or the red sombrero guy that's always tailgating bright and early every home game out there at 5 a.m. and just camping out, man. We need more people like that. It's more of a college game day experience. I think we need to get fans there. I think EC is kind of changing the culture, not only within the program, but within the community too. And we need more of that kind of spread. So there's only us. It's our family. It's our hometown team. So, Nick, I know that you spent some time digging up some videos, highlights. We can get back into some of that basketball talk if you want, because I know that you had some talking points. So we'll go ahead and do just that.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Eric. We're switching gears back to Lobo basketball talk, and I wanted to go back to one of our comments from Steve Singletary. He writes, I'm excited about the defense. As I mentioned to Ed today on the Sports Animal, I wanted to see more movement without the ball. They looked like they were thinking too much. Again, my dad was hosting Unfiltered with Kenny Thomas today on 610 The Sports Animal. He did a great job. He had Rick Wright from the Albuquerque Journal and Will Weber from the Santa Fe New Mexican, who gave some great takes on Lobo athletics. But getting to the ball movement piece, Eric, we've talked about it. This offense for UNM men's basketball, it's certainly not a finished product. They didn't shoot great from the field yesterday. But the one thing that, again, stood out to me is they attacked the basket rather than settling for three-point field goals. Coach Olin did address how the offense kind of got stagnant in the second half. I've got a clip teed up of what Coach Olin said in the post-game press conference. Just give me 1 second. I'll pull that up.
East Texas A&M is pretty aggressive defensively, and they switch everything and, deny some stuff. So there were times when we had some trouble creating the ball movement, and guys had to make some individual plays with some mixed results. But some of that was us getting a little stagnant, maybe not executing the way we need to, and some of that was stylistic. East Texas A&M is
so. To that point, Eric, he talks about East Texas A&M. They're a team that wanted to turn UNM over. You look at them, their first couple possessions of the game, they come out in this 2-2-1 kind of three-quarter court press. They trapped a little bit. They switched a lot defensively, just tried to apply a lot of ball pressure, similar in some ways to what UNM did. But Coach Olin later in the press conference talked about how there were some mismatches because East Texas A&M was switching defensively. There were some mismatches they wanted to take advantage of. They wanted to drive the ball to the basket. And I thought there were times, Eric, that UNM had some pretty good ball movement. You got a chance to see the game from the floor. The pit press, we had 4 guys on press row. But you were doing the hard work, man. You got some really good photos down on the baseline camera. Kind of just what were your thoughts on the ball movement for UNM offensively?
I thought it was good. I think, comparing to last year, I know it's completely different roster and style of play, but we were so used to just seeing that 2-man game last year, right? The ball was in Donovan Dent's hands a lot. He was coming off a high ball screen. He was either taking it to the rim himself or looking for Nelly on that pick and roll dump off. But the ball moved a lot more. I think it was more fluid. I think there were more guys looking for each other. You had a really nice article over the summer, just like on Olin's style of play, the overall ball movement, where the ball never really sits on one side of the floor too long. And if there's guys standing around, then something's a little off. But you could just see that guys were cutting to the basket. And Olin touched on a really important piece in that comment in the post-game presser, was just he knew what East Texas was trying to do, was trying to force turnovers. They were trying to deny a lot of passes, so they were forcing UNM to just turn into guys that could create off the dribble. And what that did was it kind of opened the floor a little bit for guys like Dayton Albury to penetrate, for guys like Uriah Tenet to get to the rim. And these guys are quick, man. Being courtside and on the floor, you don't really see how fast they are until you're really up close. They've got like this second gear to them, and I think right now that's probably why Albury is not really kind of hitting his stride, is maybe he's playing a little bit too fast. But they definitely have that second gear, and they're definitely a tough matchup if you're trying to get out and guard them one-on-one on an island. So I think when you're able to do that, you're able to spread the floor with these guys who can shoot from the inside. Having that ball movement is just going to keep the defense moving and open up those passing lanes and those driving lanes. So you're going to start to see this offense open up down the road once they start to develop some more understanding of not only the offense, but understanding of the other guys on the team and on the floor.
No doubt, man. Before we get out of here, I know we're running on an hour. I did want to show a clip. There's 4 separate offensive possessions for UNM where I thought the ball movement was great. Great dribble penetration. You can see the ball's like a windshield wiper. It goes from one side of the floor to the other side of the floor. Guys are moving off the ball well. Let me show that clip real quick.
Powell's okay. Albury lost it in the corner. Whips it out to Tenet. Now to Chol. On the take. Antonio with a 2-hand flush. Nice.
So that's the first one, Eric. You see great ball movement there. Dayton Albury gets trapped in the corner. UNM swings the ball over to Antonio Chol, and rather than settling for a 3-point shot, he attacks the basket, gets to the rim for a nice flush. I'm going to go to the second clip now.
Nice ball movement.
So there, I really like the way that Dayton Albury attacks the basket. I mean, you can't tell me, Eric, that he's not going to finish that shot. He gets right to the rim. It's a lay-in. He just left it short. UNM gets a putback. I think that's Bouillon down there on the putback. But again, you see great ball movement, and UNM takes 10 seconds off the shot clock in a half-court offensive possession. I thought they looked really good there. There's 2 more clips that I'll show, and I want to get your thoughts on all these. But there's 2 more. This one's a Jake Hall 3. You see Albury again off dribble penetration. Look at the shot clock right here. There's 16 seconds on the shot clock. And so UNM, in theory on this possession, taking 14 seconds off the shot clock. Coach Olin talked about this as a point of emphasis. We don't want to shoot the first shot available. We want to be patient, get 2 feet in the paint, get a good shot. Semi-contested there, but we know Jake Hall is a knockdown 3-point shooter. He puts it in. And here's the final clip. It'll be a 3 for Antonio Chol.
20 consecutive misses. And Bouillon kind of laid off of him. And, of course, once his man scored that basket, he looked over at the bench. Lobos with the extra pass, and Chol can't finish.
So you see those kinds of clips, Eric. And again, I know it's early in the season. This team is not a finished product. I thought there were times in the game where UNM had pretty solid ball movement.
Yeah, well, you could tell they're looking for each other. They're anticipating the next pass, and they're not taking the first look that they have, right? It's not how soon you're going to shoot that shot in the shot clock, but you're going to take the best one available. In all those clips you just showed, it was guys penetrating, and you could see the defense collapsing in on that, preventing the ball getting to the rim, and they know where these guys on the perimeter are going to be, right? That's just how Olin's offense is designed, and they're always anticipating the next pass. And these guys are all good shooters. I think that's a big piece to why I was so high on Jake Hall early in the show. Was he's not only going to be a catch and shoot guy, but he's a high IQ, good skilled mid-range guy. And I think that's the type of player that Olin wants to recruit, and the type of player that they're going to be able to develop in this system. And he's brought in some really important pieces, guys that can handle the ball, guys that can shoot, guys that are smart, guys that just play well together. And it's really encouraging to see, right? But I do think that on the offensive side, they're still trying to find a little bit of their identity. And I don't want to beat the dead horse here, though, but it's finding the right shots. I think the shooting percentage isn't so much of a concern to me right now. Dane Albury not being, I think he went 2 for 8. That low percentage isn't too concerning for me because they can get to the rim. The shots just aren't falling. So I think we're going to start to see some of that ball movement improve over the course of the season. I think that's going to come with all these different rotations that Olin is going to start mixing in there. But they've also got these guys on the roster that are really good off the dribble, that can get to the rim and finish around the rim. And they just offer so many different elements to the offense that they're not as one-dimensional as they were last year, right? You stop that two-man game with Nelly and Dent, then you know the Lobos were kind of stuck in the mud at times. With this offense, there's just so many options, and if that ball doesn't stop moving on the offensive side, all these guys can fill it up, right? I think that's the upside here for me.
Yeah, 100% agree, man. And kind of the closing remarks on UNM men's basketball, at least their win 76-54 over East Texas A&M. Coach Olin said right now the defense is ahead of the offense, and he's not terribly surprised about that. I think you're going to see UNM continue to struggle at times on the offensive side, shooting the basketball. UNM had 15 turnovers on offense, Eric. That's not great. Obviously, you don't want that number to be that high. Last year at UCSD, Eric Olin's team was one of the best in the country at not turning over the basketball. So I think they're going to continue to grow into that as the season progresses, for sure.
Yeah. Well, Nick, I don't have any final thoughts. We've already passed an hour. Was grateful to get our guest on, Valerie Flores, a little bit earlier. Maybe we'll come to you over the weekend. I know it's a bye week. I know we want to get your dad on because he's got plenty of thoughts, but Ed's been covering with Kenny Thomas. And then, Nick, do you want to announce what you're going to be doing Saturday after the Lobo game?
Yeah, I appreciate it, Eric. I'll be hosting Lobos Live with Kenny Thomas after UNM men's basketball game against UT Arlington. Tip-off is at 2 p.m. in the pit. There's a nice promotional deal for UNM men's basketball. Kids under 12 get in free. I believe you got to purchase one adult ticket, and you can get up to 2 kids in free. So get into the pit, check out this new UNM men's basketball team. And then, I'm very thankful to Kenny Thomas, to 770 KKOB for allowing me the opportunity to host. I'll be filling in for Brandon Ortega, who's a true professional. I was in the studio last night watching Brandon and Kenny do the show. It's an awesome show, man. Just an opportunity for Lobo fans to engage with a Lobo legend like Kenny Thomas. So I think that's great. Just one other quick piece of news, Eric. The UNM women's basketball team was in action on the road tonight. They fell 84-59 to Colorado CU. So the UNM women's basketball team now 1-1 on the season. They will be in action on Sunday at 1 p.m. Also the same deal. Kids can get in free to that game as well. So just encourage Lobo fans to get to the pit this weekend for some great basketball.
One last announcement before we wrap up. Mentioned it earlier. We had a chance to talk with Coach Jason Eck earlier today. It was a good 20, 25-minute conversation. recorded it all. We'll go ahead and release that at some point tomorrow. Just got to get it edited up and put on our YouTube channel. So be on the lookout for that. But we did ask him some questions about the elephant in the room and open jobs around the country. But I think it's safe to say that he is happy with where he's at. That's what he told us, not ruling out anything else from happening down the road, but had a lot of good things to say. I think he's still really encouraged about where the season is headed, still plenty to play for. But just overall on his first season with the program and living in Albuquerque. So that's it for me. That's it for the Pit Press. Nick, any final thoughts before we cut everyone loose?
No, that's it, man. It's been a great show. Thank you to our guest, Valerie Flores, awesome Lobo fan out in Texas. Go Lobos.